I understand that some are concerned about Aunty Bev pulling out a chain of custody roadblock to prevent the carpet from being used as evidence. And while it is true that chain of custody is going to feature in admissibility, the defence would only need to show that its scientific integrity has been maintained to ensure that it is the same as when it was collected and has not been tampered with or contaminated. So the point of collection is when they intercepted the carpet after it was removed from the house. The 2 or so years that it spent continuing to live on the floor of the house after John O'Keefe's death is neither here nor there, unless the prosecution wants to claim that Karen somehow has a vial of John O'Keefe's blood lying around somewhere hidden away, because quite obviously the dude's already in the ground. But those considerations aside, listen one more time to how Karen has stored the carpet.
But once the house was sold, Karen's detective was able to get a hold of all the carpeting that the new owners were getting rid of that had been in the house when the Alberts owned it. Since then, she's been paying for a temperature-controlled storage unit to store this rug, this carpeting, in the hopes that she can one day swab it for DNA or for blood.
So it's being stored in a temperature-controlled environment, obviously to preserve any possible DNA. And I'm going to hazard a guess it's pretty well hidden where that storage is, considering it potentially holds evidence against some fairly influential people in town. And on top of all of that, she also has an ex-assistant district attorney on her team who's put away a couple of people for murder before. So I don't know about you, but I'm pretty confident that they know what they're doing. I mean, sure, they overplayed the hand and were a little too confident with the last trial. I don't think they're going to be making the same mistake again. Outside of that, I have every confidence that they know how to handle the carpet as potential evidence. Also, there's a backup plan, because there's an Innocence Protection Act where defendants may request post-conviction DNA testing under federal and state laws. So, even assuming Aunty Bev somehow gets the evidence thrown out and somehow secures a conviction, that carpet can still be used post-conviction as new evidence. If for some reason Aunty Bev has a momentary lapse of reason and allows it into evidence during the trial, it could lead to a dismissal. Of course, none of us are expecting any reasonable behaviour to come out of any of them, so we are looking at most likely post-conviction DNA. In that scenario, the Innocence Protection Act says that the costs for DNA testing are generally covered by government funding or state or county resources, unless the defendant is not indigent, which we're pretty sure Karen will be by then. The DNA testing program is called the Kirk Bloodsworth Post-Conviction DNA Testing Program, named after Kirk Bloodsworth, the first American on death row to be exonerated through DNA evidence. The program provides grants to states to help cover the expenses of DNA testing in cases where it could help exonerate the wrongfully convicted. So, there's a number of ways that evidence could be stored and used, and not all of them rely on Aunty Bev. I'm sure that's good news to everybody, except maybe the McAlberts.